Hi and welcome to Jothishi.com. Today we continue with our Nakshatra series and we're going to be talking about the Poorvashada Nakshatra. Poorvashada is ruled by Apah, which is also in the watery sign, right? So it is also very related to water. So if you see, it will be like where the river is joining the ocean. That is something that Purvashada represents. It also, so if you see water, water can also transform itself, right? Like it can go from liquid state to gaseous state to solid state, which is ice. So this nakshatra also, you will notice that there is a lot of transformation. And Anand will talk about this, how a monkey is related and how people keep moving from one to the other if they are in Purvashada Nakshatra. Today, let's talk about the next nakshatra in the nakshatra series, Purvashada.
Yeah.
So, can you give us some insight into when planets are placed in Purvashada? What does it look like?
Yeah. So we'll primarily focus on moon in the particular nakshatra, and like always, we'll take a few celebrity examples and try and figure out some key pointers of this nakshatra. So Purvashada, it's also known as Pooradam in southern part of the country. So it is lauded by Apah. So that is the deva of the cosmic, or the devi of the cosmic waters. So for example, any setting that you see where the oceans converge, or the river goes and meets the ocean, kind of a thing, or in the atmosphere you see droplets of particles, right, water particles, kind of a thing. So that kind of a setting clearly denotes this strength of this nakshatra.
Okay.
So for example, just to give a example, something to do with oceans. The national award-winning movie called Chemmin, I don't know if you've seen, long back. It's completely to do with oceans.
Life of Pi is one other
Yes,
example.
another example where it's completely related to
Right.
ocean, kind of
Titanic,
a thing.
is that a good example?
Titanic, okay. Castaway. So it's
yes.
completely Bahubali, where Prabhas and so for example, Tamanna Bhatia, she has 3 planets in this particular Sagittarius, out of which 2 are in Purvashada, kind of a nakshatra. Not moon, but the other planets, sun and Mercury, kind of a thing. So this setting, what you see is where the oceans and where there's water extensively. So you would have seen, this Bahubali, where Prabhas takes that Shivalinga, and then water is splurged from the above and all that. So that setting is perfectly related to a Purvashada, kind of a fragrance, kind of a thing. So actually, if you see, Purvashada is directly opposite Ardra, which is lauded by Shiva. And Shiva is also moist. That Ardra Nakshatra is also moist.
Okay.
And Purvashada clearly denotes water and water bodies and those kind of things. So that setting is beautifully, sort of denoting this particular axis. So the moistness in this particular axis.
Okay.
So Purvashada is clearly a very feminine nakshatra. So what we talked about Rohini, the sensuousness of the feminine nakshatra. We talked about Uttara Falguni nakshatra, where again it is very feminine, and there is a wanting to sort of wanting a response from the partner in the case of Rohini, and in the case of Uttara Falguni, wanting to mate or wanting to meet with the partner, kind of a thing. Purvashada is a very feminine nakshatra, wherein the feminine energy is very independent. You don't necessarily require a partner. That flavor, that strength of the Purvashada's feminine nakshatra is very sort of solo, individualistic kind of a thing. So this Purvashada native is reasonably very proud of her or his achievements. The achievements will be slightly different. So for example, Aishwarya Rai. I am independent. I know to take care of myself. I am reasonably proud of my achievements, and my achievements are slightly different. It is not one in the rung, one in the crowd, kind of a thing. It's slightly different kind of a thing. So for example, it has got to do with the 9th house flavor. It's got and it also denotes Poorva Ashada, that is the early victory. So it is so if you get into a debate competition with a Purvashada Nakshatra, be very careful, because they want victory. And they are reasonably very proud of that victory. So anything to do with the 9th house related to law, sports, aggression, dharma, politics, all that is a very good flavor for a Purvashada
Okay.
kind of thing. So, for example, something different when we talk Sanat Jayasurya. So he, revolutionized this big hitting in cricket kind of
Pinch
a thing.
hitting.
Pinch hitting kind. So that flavor is pretty strong. So even if you see, we talked about Chemeen, right? So that movie music director is Salil Chaudhary. So Salil Chaudhary is like, the flavor of Salil Chaudhary's music is completely different. Salil also means water. So it's a beautiful coincidence where there is a water Purvashada there, and the music is also related to completely different kind of a setting kind of a thing.
Okay.
So that flavor is completely different. So music directors, you can if you notice, you can easily figure out people who have a different music. So, for example, A.R. Rahman has a style. Your Ilayaraja has a style. So Salil Chaudhary has definitely a different sort of flavor and style, which is related to the cosmos and the water and the five elements kind of a style.
So because it is in the ninth house there, it is
Yes.
all of this that is coming into play.
Yes, and because it's related to water,
Got it.
that flavor is pretty
It's
strong.
very strong
Yes.
in it. Okay.
So and independence and that pride. So it is denoted by a winnow basket or a fan kind of a thing. So you would have seen Japanese, right?
Yes.
So Japanese, this fan is a symbol of aristocracy and being independent and you coming from a good family kind of a thing. So that independence and I can take care of myself sort of a flavor is pretty strong. So Aishwarya Rai, Saira Banu, your Karishma Kapoor, that flavor is very strong in Purvashada Nakshatra. That feminine energy is very strong.
Got it. So for these people who are in Purvashada, like you mentioned, law,
Yes.
anything to do with early winning or
Yes.
argumentation, debate maybe is a better
yes.
word.
So
for them.
law is definitely a
good
fantastic
career option for
yes,
them,
yes.
right?
Politics is a very fantastic
Okay.
option. So for example, our ex-president K.R. Narayanan, a very humble kind of a person, and legal background. Pranab Mukherjee, very different. Bharat Ratna, very
Right.
different kind of a politician. He's not a normal one
Yes.
among the another politician kind of a thing. So that flavor of Purvashada is pretty strong.
Okay.
And Tendulkar, Sachin Tendulkar is a very fantastic example.
Example.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So Purvashada is also related to wealth in certain way because the representation is Yakshini. So the Ashoka tree is always related to Yakshas, Yakshinis, and Yakshinis are sort of treasurers of wealth. They are taking care of Kuvera's wealth. Kuvera is a Yaksha.
Right.
So it is also said Shiva is also Yaksha to a certain in certain shlokas. So this Yakshinis take care of the wealth, and hence the wealth related aspect of what do you call Purvashada is pretty strong. So they are highly materialistic,
Okay.
and once you want to merge with the divinity kind of a thing, then it becomes a very spiritual kind of a flavor. So from a wealth perspective, you would also notice Dhirubhai Ambani. So that aspect of Purvashada is pretty strong. So moon in Purvashada, and Purvashada also represents. So if you want to sort of get into agriculture, if you want to dig a well, if you want to do something related to foundation of the building and those kind of things where digging is involved, it is said that you start your work in the Poorvashada Nakshatra when the moon is transiting Poorvashada Nakshatra. So if you see Dhirubhai Ambani again, it has got something to do with wells, oil wells and those kind of things. So that flavor is sort of pretty strong.
Since you spoke about wealth, does also wealth management, all of those things include as a career option?
So it is more to do with
personal wealth,
relationship management related to wealth management. So you have RMs in most of these companies, right? Where relationship management, they talk to the customer because it's the 3-9 axis where communication is involved, and you talk to the customer for wealth management kind of a thing. It's not exactly to do with wealth management, but it's to do with communication related to the customer for wealth management.
So you could be working for a mutual fund house and then managing someone else's fund.
Investment banking, managing some funds and those kind of things.
So those are something that is also another career
option. Yes.
Okay. We covered quite a bit about the career aspect of it.
Yes.
And you also touched upon that these people are very independent
Yes,
in
yes.
terms of relationships, right?
Yes.
So maybe a few more pointers on how the personality trait is.
Yes.
And also there is, I think there is a relation between the trunk of an elephant
Yes.
and also the Purvashada Nakshatra.
Yes,
So
yes.
maybe can you touch upon that
Yes.
aspect?
So the animal represented by Poorvashada is a monkey, and the trunk of the elephant is also represented, which sort of symbolizes ivory, the aristocracy. So we talked about the aristocracy and kind of a thing. So you are a independent person who is from an aristocratic, or you look after the wealth. You want to earn wealth and then maintain that level of status and those
right.
kind of things. So that is clearly represented. And this monkey's thing, moving from one thing to another thing. So they are good strategists. So Purvashada has the ability to sort of create strategies. May not be a good executioner, but from a strategy perspective, but they, like a monkey, keep on moving on from one thing to the other. So the ability to stick on to one particular field may not be very, very strong, but they try and move on to different fields. Again, come back, try and rework, again try and move on. So that reworking kind of an ability and then moving on from one place to another kind of a thing is very strong from a Poorvashada Nakshatra.
Okay, so when you say moving from one thing to the other, it could also mean like freelancing and things like that, right? That could also be a very...
Yes. So even an IT professional who is working on say X project today decides that tomorrow decides it's not working out for me, move on to the next one, and those kind of things. So even slight change of from an IT infrastructure, you move on to say DevOps. So from DevOps you move on to sort of coding, and those kind of things also are sort of very prevalent in a Purvashada Nakshatra.
So
and this is a very watery kind of a nakshatra, very watery. So that flavor of water, both internally and in the cosmos externally, is very pretty strong. So anything to do with merchant navy, water business, Indian Navy, and those kind of stuff is very, very anything to do with by oceanography. Anything to do with something to do with sea and those kind of things are very, very pretty strong. Fishes. That concept and theme is very strong in Poorvashada.
So this being the ninth house and water, like long distance travel, all of that is also very strong.
So you would find Poorvashada, the probability of being abroad, being far away from their home is pretty strong. So that or going abroad for education and those kind of things is very strong for a Poorvashada Nakshatra.
But that depends on how many planets are placed and whether the Dasha and Antardasha is running.
So it is the fifth from the fifth. Ninth house is the fifth from the fifth. So something to do with being away from your, and it's very independent, right? So being away from your partner, away from kids, or delay in kids, and those kind of themes are reasonably very strong in Purvashada Nakshatra.
Okay, got it. Now let's go back to relationships a little bit. Anything else that you would want to touch upon here?
So the aristocracy and the beauty of this. So it's Vimshottari is ruled by Venus, right? And Venus definitely likes praises. So the best way to deal with a partner of this particular nature is sort of praising that partner in their work. So that sort of brings a sense of pride, sense of thing, and the Purvashadas may not be submissive, but the response from a Poorvashada Nakshatra will definitely increase. Once you start, praising that person for their activities and their achievements and those kind of things, they really like that particular thing.
So this sort of covers relationships and career, right? Now, ninth house is also known for dharma, spirituality. Right. So how does can this energy also help us move in that direction?
Yes, definitely.
So how does one?
So it is like the Jivatma merging with the Paramatma, where a small river goes and finds the sea. So that setting is primarily related to Purvashada. So you would find many highly spiritual people in this particular nakshatra, provided they move in that direction, that exalted Venus direction. And so, for example, Osho Rajneesh, and he is also a guru with a difference. In terms of content, is probably one of the best gurus in terms of content. So that difference clearly comes out. So the celebrities that we talked about, are reasonably famous. They are people with a difference. They are, in the quest of wealth. And that flavor is pretty strong from a Purvashada kind of a
And
nakshatra.
Osho was quite
Yes.
flamboyant.
So, flamboyant, and
Yes.
that quest for wealth,
Yes.
his
Rolls
difference in
Royce.
terms of content is
Right.
fantastic.
Yes.
So even if you see Tendulkar, the quest for wealth is there.
Right.
So that flavor is very strong. He's very different. So even the music director that we talked, Salil Chaudhary, is very, very different. Dhirubhai Ambani, the quest for wealth is pretty strong kind of. Pranab Mukherjee, a politician with a difference.
Got it.
So, if there is another politician that we can talk about is Hitler. So Hitler is completely different. So
Right.
that flavor is also pretty strong. If there are malefics, so he has Gajakesari Yoga in the fourth house of land, along with Ketu. So that flavor is also pretty strong, and then and it is in Poorvashada Nakshatra. So that is where this very different flavor is also coming from.
Right, and there was also some amount of wealth associated,
Yes,
right? Like setting
yes.
up of industries, all
Yes,
of that was done by
yes.
Hitler.
So that revolution wherein factories were brought in and those kind of things. So capital infrastructure development and those kind of things were very strong from that perspective.
And the ninth house being the house of dharma,
Yes.
any re-establishing dharma, are these people very dharmic to be in this particular nakshatra if they have
No,
planets?
primarily most of them are materialistic
Okay.
in terms of craving for wealth. Very
Right.
few take that
Dharmic route.
wherein like Osho and those kind of, where the spirituality connect, that is merging with the Jivatma, Paramatma kind of a flavor. Very few people take that, but there are very, very, very strong spiritualists from this dharma establishment kind of a flavor.
So what I
So
was
if you see
trying to-
from dharma perspective, you can look at law. So for example, Pranab Mukherjee
exactly, yeah.
had a law background, dharma background, who came into politics, wanted to establish dharma. K.R. Narayanan, again same background, MA political science and those kind of background, and then wanting to establish sort of dharma.
By dharma, what I also meant was like doing your everyday tasks in the right manner,
way,
right?
yes.
Like that is what I meant. So
Yes.
are these people, very straightforward, do business
Yes.
in the right manner,
Yes.
take care of their employees?
Yes, yes.
So that aspect or that flavor within them is
Yes,
very strong
yes.
because of the ninth house
Ninth house effect and
being activated.
that aspect of Venus there.
Being activated,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So water is mainly known for purification and rejuvenation, right? Like if you look at what water is used for in our daily lives, we use it for purification and rejuvenation. When we feel thirsty, we drink a lot of water. And this is what the Purvashada Nakshatra also emphasizes in one person's life, where there is a lot of purification and rejuvenation happens. And also being associated with the ninth house, there is a lot of good dharmic influence as well as a good material influence as well. So if you would like to know where planets are placed in your birth chart, do log on to Jothishi.com and we can help you out. Thank you.